Today I'm going to be attempting to survive on this island for 100 Minecraft days in hardcore Minecraft. All that I will have at my disposal is the resources located on this island and everything I can find in the vast ocean. Will I be able to transform this island into a functioning survival base, or will I die along the way? The only way to find out is to begin at day 0. After scouting out the area, I did the traditional day 0 things in survival Minecraft by punching a tree and gathering some stone for some starter tools. I figured it was really important to light up the island as early as possible, because I wasn't trying to die on my first night. I grabbed some surface coal around the area, made some torches, and sprinkled them all throughout the island. I really wasn't a fan of the idea of starving to death on this island, so I decided to punch all the grass, and I got 5 seeds. It was also at this point where I realized my computer was about to blow up because of the shaders I had on. I guess I can't play with shaders on and record for that long. So the rest of this video is going to be without shaders. I planted down the few seeds that I was able to harvest, and then I took to the ocean to embark in some tactical fishing. This is definitely way faster than waiting for the seeds to grow. Then throughout that first night, I just started tidying up the island a little bit. I gathered up all the trees, and I filled in some of the holes that the world generated with. That bleeds into day 1, where I continued reshaping the island a little bit, just to give myself a better understanding of how much space I actually had. I then took to the ocean again with my trusty door, which sounds strange, but in Minecraft, you can use a door to mine underwater really efficiently. Using this method, I was really easily able to get some nice early game iron, coal, copper, and then I also grabbed some clay for a build I was thinking of. It was also around this point where my beach started becoming overrun by turtles, which is perfectly fine. I'm very lonely on this island, so it's nice to have some friends. Speaking of friends, a sheep and a pig spawned, which is amazing, because if I can get another one of either of those to spawn, we can have food completely sorted. And also, that sheep spawning allows me to shear it to make a bed, so that's super nice too. I spotted one of those underwater ruins nearby the island, so I decided to go check it out, and this chest absolutely had a mind of its own. I have no idea what was going on. I don't know if I was lagging or what, but it just didn't want to work properly. Piling on that, there was a map in that chest, and I accidentally made it for the corner of the island, where I could have probably centered it and it would have looked really cool. But as you'll soon learn, as a trend of this video, I'm kind of an idiot. I then made probably the most important item in hardcore Minecraft, at least early game. I made a shield. Very easy to avoid dying if you have a shield, so that's nice to have. Day 2 was all about mining. I decided to finally go mining underground, not using the door method this time. Found a bunch of stuff on my way down, but then after like 3 years of mining, I finally made it to deep slate level. I forgot how long it takes to mine down to deep slate level without really good diamond pickaxes and stuff. I heard an enderman while I was mining down, so I was hoping, that was a sign of a cave, so I tried to follow it. In turn, I just found a geode and some gold, so that's cool. Never ended up finding the enderman. Still to this day, I have no idea where he was. I didn't have much luck underground trying to find a bigger cave, so on day 3, I resurfaced. I started making a larger farm, and I made my first piece of iron armor, so we're at least a little bit more protected. And since I didn't find a cave underground very easily, I just went back to the tried and true door method, which actually led to a massive underwater cave with a normal cave attached to it. So I'm telling you, man, the door method is the best. I made a complete set of iron armor while underground, and then I almost immediately died while going into a big cave. I think I'm still too used to like my regular hardcore world where I have really good armor and stuff. Yeah, that was definitely very close. Day 4, I continued underground and I was able to find my first diamonds. It was only 2, but you know what? Diamonds are still diamonds. Found some more diamonds shortly after that, and I also witnessed an absolutely historic battle amongst my enemies. On my way out of the caves then, I found some stone diamonds, which are quite rare, if I'm not mistaken. So I left one of those to potentially come back later once I got Silk Touch. All in all, after that mining trip, I ended up with 14 diamonds, which is definitely not bad. Used 3 of those to make my first diamond pickaxe, which is always amazing. I also sheared that sheep that I found earlier on, and it gave me 3 pieces of wool, so I was very comfortably able to make a bed. On day 5, I mainly just focused on food, right? So I had 5 bones lying around, so I made 15 bone meal in order to grow some crops. That still wasn't really enough food food, so I decided to hop back into the water and smack up a few more fish. Then I just fished the normal way for a good while. I wanted to kind of take my time with this 100 days, so I wanted to actually spend a decent amount of time fishing. That's a part of the game that I really don't pay much attention to in my typical Minecraft worlds, and I figured when I'm stranded on a desert island, like, why not fish, you know? There was a slight distraction this day though, because a wandering trader showed up, and he was selling moss, which is a block I use a ton in my builds, so I would love to get my hands on some. I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but I threw the wandering trader into a boat, hoping it would prevent him from despawning. And then on day 6, I continued fishing once again. My plan was to fish for an entire day and night, just to see how much stuff I got. This day does not go as planned though, I'll say it now, but before I get to that, I found an Unbreaking 3 book. This is why I wanted to focus on fishing. You can get some really nice stuff, like you can get mending books, you can get really good fishing rods, you can get really good bows, so there's a ton of stuff to be had by fishing. While doing this, I thought of a way that I was able to get some emeralds essentially right now. In a relatively recent update, there was this wonderful item introduced to the game called a brush. If you use this brush on some sus sand, it could potentially give you emeralds, which obviously in turn would lead to massive moss profit for your boy. There are a few ways of getting feathers. One of those ways is just by killing a chicken, but I am currently chickenless on this island, so I had to look at secret option number 2, which is a shipwreck. Shipwrecks also have a chance for moss, by the way. This is kind of something I forget later on, gotta be honest. So I made a boat and I set sail around my island a little bit. Now, I didn't want to go too far away. I feel like it would have been a little bit too cheesy if I looted just a ton of sunken ships really early on in this world. So while staying close to my island, I was able to find one sunken ship. And very sadly, it didn't have moss nor a feather. But on a small bright side, it was now raining, so fishing is more effective. The best thing I was able to get then for the rest of that day was a Lure 2 book. Not great, but certainly not horrible. Now I'm gonna lump together day 7, 8, and like half of day 9, because this is where I started gathering materials for my starter house. For whatever reason, I decided to make my house out of granite, which I'm not super proud of. Kind of wish I chose a different block, but it's too late now. So I mined some of that. Afterwards, I moved on to some deep slate. Figured I would kind of use that somewhere in the build, because it's one of my favorite blocks in the entire game. And also, just luckily, one of the few blocks I have at my disposal in this video. While getting deep slate though, I found a lot of diamonds, like really quickly. I found 19 more diamonds. So that's huge for me. I gathered both of the wood types that I have on my island, of course, those being oak wood and birch wood. And this is where I figured out that wandering traders despawn in a boat because, yeah, he was gone. He just poofed, vanished. I was really sad about that fact at the time, but the more I think about it now, like, moss isn't that hard to find for me in this world. I could have just looted more ships, or just went underground for longer until I found a lush cave. Like, I don't know why I thought that wandering trader was like the only key to me getting moss. Honestly, I have no idea. But after being a little bit sad, I gathered some mud to go with the granite for my house, dirt and gravel as well for some coarse dirt, again for the walls of my house, and then some sand just for some glass. I'm gonna lump together a few more days as well, so we have the other half of day 9 all the way through day 11. Throughout these few days, I just built my house. You know, in my current regular hardcore Minecraft worlds, the scale that I'm building in is rather large, and I feel like I've been building this way for quite some time. So given the limited space that I have on this deserted island, I felt like it was a good opportunity to practice building smaller. And I gotta be honest, it's definitely not my favorite starter house of all time, but it's certainly not my least favorite. We're right there in the middle, man, alright? That's where I like to strive to be. I built up the interior as well, and I fully moved everything in. Then I also have written in my notes right here, will build up basement eventually. Whoever wrote that is a liar, because I do not ever build a basement. All right, now back to single days. All right, day 12. I cleared out the trees to make room for some more farmland because I wanted to have a nice big crop field on this island. I felt like that would look really nice. So I started construction on that farmland here, but I had to go and gather some more cobblestone to build up the walls, which leads me to day 13, where I continued and finished working on the farmland, but I didn't have enough seeds to fully finish the farm. A little bit of alliteration, all right? That's what you get on this channel. We're crazy over here. Rather than just watching my crops grow, as riveting as that sounds, I decided to go back into the caves, because obviously I still need some more resources, and also I was mainly looking for string here because earlier on, I broke my fishing rod without getting another one. And it's like the Minecraft gods knew what I was looking for, because I found a mine shaft before long. Spent some time just whacking up a good bit of string. That sounds insane. Let me re-say that. I spent a good bit of time harvesting string from the mine shaft. I'm just gonna say it as blunt as possible. I got some diamonds as well, so that's always nice. I didn't explore much longer than that because mineshafts scare the hell out of me. They are very easy to die in when you don't have good armor. Before I left though, I gathered up 6 pieces of string, so I was able to make a few more fishing rods. I'm just hoping I can fish up a good one. Usually fishing can like sustain itself from the beginning. You normally don't have to make too many more fishing rods. Oh, what's that? You want some more door method? You guys love to see me place a door underwater to get some pockets of air and mine some ores that way? So glad you guys love that, because on day 14, that's exactly what I did. But honestly, look at the results of the door method, all right? I got a lot of coal and a lot of iron in not that much time. The next 2 days, days 15 and 16, I fished. Again, I'm kind of taking things slow, all right? I'm not trying to speed run this world. I'm just trying to vibe. All right, I want some good enchantments, and food is always good to have. So fishing, pretty good thing to do, in my opinion. Throughout this little fishing session, I got a Power 5 book, which is fantastic. I also got a Smite 5 enchant, which is fine. I prefer sharpness, but it's something, I guess. And I also got a name tag, so that's cool. I also got a Loyalty 3 book, which isn't really useful to me. So on day 17, I made a grindstone so I can disenchant that book in order to make an enchanting table. And just look at the placement of that grindstone, all right? I think it ties the entire room together. As I was replanting my crop field, I found another wandering trader, but I think he felt bad for me because he gave me 2 free leads. It was super nice of him. I'm really glad I didn't have to like kill him and get blood on my hands to get these leads. It was just really nice that, you know, he just handed me them. I then scampered down into the caves, very scared because they still spooked me out after that first time I nearly died. Grabbed a couple pieces of obsidian and immediately resurfaced because that was all I was there for. Day 18 though, all right, let me tell you about day 18, massive day. And the reason this day was so big was because I finally have my hands on an enchanting table. Now, it's not as exciting as it could be because I have no bookshelves, but I was able to still get some level of enchanting done. And also, I decided to use that Unbreaking 3 book that I found earlier on my pickaxe. I figured it would be the tool I used the most. And then I had this genius idea, all right, to make a mob farm. And I found this video, and I thought to myself, this is perfect, all right? This is a small mob farm. I could easily put a lighthouse around this, and I could be chilling. But little did I realize, I don't think it was possible to make this mob farm for me right now. It took me a few days to realize this, but I'll just tell you now, in the end, I take this entire mob farm down, and it never gets used. Now, most of the next few days was spent like building and preparing for this mob farm. So I'm gonna kind of breeze by a few of these because none of the mob farm stuff matters. On day 19, I ended up very begrudgingly, I cannot say that word. Why did I write it down? Begrudgingly. I said it correctly once, right? So I could just kind of take that audio and slide it into the sentence. So on day 19, I very begrudgingly headed back into the mineshaft because I needed some more string for the dispensers of the farm. That doesn't really matter though. What does matter is I got a ton of string, which is very useful to me later when I'm making more fishing rods. There's not too much to talk about here on day 20. I gathered some cobblestone for the build that doesn't end up doing anything, and then I started working on the build that shall not be named. Day 21 though, back to my roots. It started to rain, so I decided to fish again. Now look, a better Minecraft player would probably have beaten the game by now, but a worse Minecraft player probably wouldn't know that it's beneficial to fish when it's raining. So again, right in the sweet spot, all right? That's where I'm striving to be. And look at that, all right? I got a Prot 3 book. That's pretty good. I slapped Prot 3 on my chest piece. Also, I didn't record myself doing that, so here is a dramatic reenactment of the events. Another wandering trader came by, and I guess he's, you know, friends of the last wandering trader. They must know each other, because once again, he just donated me some, you know, free leads. Didn't have to do anything. Definitely didn't hit him with my sword a handful of times. He was just a nice guy, you know, he just dropped him off. Day 23 was kind of another wasted day because, you know, the whole farm thing, you guys already know the deal. But one really important thing I did is I took the birch wood off my roof. Don't know why I even put that there in the first place. I replaced it with mud. Still don't really like it. Probably just should have went with oak wood in its entirety, but I'm trying to do something interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna lump day 24 and 25 together because why not? There's not really much extra stuff I did throughout these days, but something that did happen is I nearly died. I failed a water bucket clutch because I'm just the greatest Minecraft player in the world. And yeah, that almost did me in. But something fairly big happened. I got a potato, which is nice, so I can add, you know, another crop to my crop field. And that takes me to day 26, where I kind of realized that this farm is not great. And I'll just say now, we're in the middle of the mob farm struggles, okay? We're not even at the end yet. I struggle again, which is kind of impressive, honestly. But on day 26, I decided to make the really ugly mob farm that I have previously built. both in my Skyblock series and in my Hardcore Season 2 world. It's the really weird looking one with the tube and the big like square thing at the top. You guys know what I'm talking about. And you know what? Looking at my notes currently, I'm gonna tack on day 27 to the top left corner as well. Because these 3 days were kind of just spent trying to figure out if my farm even worked, and then eventually coming to the conclusion it didn't, and then tearing the whole thing down. So by the end of day 27, my old farm was done and I was fully set on building the new one. And I think this is where my mistake came with the second farm. I decided to make it shorter. That worked on my Skyblock world. I very stupidly thought that would also work here. But the difference is, the Skyblock world doesn't have caves beneath it. My world now, even if it's surrounded by water, there are still a ton of caves under me. So if I build it too short, mobs won't spawn in there really at all. So now that you know that, let me talk about me building this new farm. That all began here on day 28. So this farm requires a lot of trapdoors. So I just spent a good old time chopping down some oak wood. Day 29 then I just continued working on that farm until I ran out of trapdoors, but also it started raining again and Fisherman Shram just cannot resist. All right, I decided to fish again. I put lure 2 on my fishing rod though to hopefully increase my, chances of getting stuff. And as a result, I got an Unbreaking 3 bow and another name tag. So all in all, I would say that's successful. Day 30 then, I harvested the few trees that grew in the meantime and was able to continue the farm, which leads very nicely into day 31, where I finished the farm. And in order to check if it worked, which it really didn't, I decided to harvest my wheat field. And once I came back, noticed it wasn't really working. It did work relatively well though, here on day 32, once I made an AFK platform above it. So it's not the most efficient thing. It's actually fairly inefficient, but it still does produce mobs. And honestly, I was under the assumption that it would take too long to take down and remake, which in hindsight, it would not have. It would have been definitely in my best interest to just destroy this thing when I realized it didn't work. Once I did realize though that the AFK platform kind of works, I just decided to grind out the farm for a little while because my plan, which I didn't even really point out just yet, obviously you get a ton of loot and stuff from mobs, but my main plan is to get 2 zombie villagers. I was also kind of hoping that this farm would produce a witch. And okay, I know that I could use the witch to throw a potion of weakness at the zombie villagers, and that would work, okay? I'm fully aware of that mechanic, but I don't have the best track record when trying to do that in hardcore Minecraft. I, for some reason, tried to jiggle peek the witch. I don't know what I was doing, and I died. So since I had access to everything else I needed to make the weakness potion aside from sugar, I felt like it was a fine idea just to kill every witch that I found. So I was hoping that enough would spawn where I could just get sugar easily that way. So with those goals in mind, I decided to grind out the mob farm for the rest of day 33 and then into day 34 as well. Day 34 was a pretty big one though, because I got 1 zombie villager, huge, got a zombie gym on my side, and I got a carrot, so I can again add to the crop field. It's actually quite annoying to me how many days I wasted with this stupid farm. If I just had made a better farm, I wouldn't have had to just grind my mob farm for 6 straight days. But that's what I did from days 35 to days 39. Really not much to say here. Didn't really get anything interesting, so all I got out of this was just the typical mob loot and some levels. I started trying to work on a mob farm at the end of day 18, and it took me until day 40 to do something else. I am potentially one of the least efficient Minecraft YouTubers out there. That's tragic, man. I'm mad at myself. But on day 40, I decided to go mining to actually do something productive, right? So I need more diamonds to repair my tools, and also gives me chances to find some more zombie villagers and some witches. I also very stupidly slept on day 40. The thunderstorm was annoying me, but I didn't need to sleep at all. I was gonna go underground. So day 41, another day wasted. Oh my God. Day 41 is when I actually ended up going underground. And aside from the diamonds that I was down there to mine, I ended up finding some pumpkin and some melon seeds, so also pretty nice. I think day 41 was the first day I didn't waste in a very long time. But on day 42, still while underground, I found a slime. Didn't realize that was a slime chunk, but we'll definitely take that. And this is where I began to lock in, all right, and get actually serious about beating the game. Because if I can make it to the stronghold in one piece, then I can just yoink all of the bookshelves there and make a full enchanting setup. I kind of had a self-imposed rule for myself where I wasn't able to loot anything above ground anywhere else in this world, because if I just sailed really far in one direction, I would find land. But that felt cheesy. I didn't want to just do that and take a villager back or take sugarcane or anything like that I didn't already have on my island. But I did allow myself to loot the stronghold fully and the end cities and stuff like that, and anything else I found underground I figured was fair game. So getting the books from the stronghold I thought was perfectly fine. Since I was preparing to beat the game, I needed to prepare to go to the Nether, and it's pretty easy to die in the Nether if you don't have a good bow. So I used the Power 4 book I found earlier, and I paired it with the Unbreaking 3 bow that I fished up. So from the power of fishing, I was able to get a Power 4 Unbreaking 3 bow. Those days were not wasted, all right? I'll tell you what. I then hopped into the Nether, and I pretty quickly found a Nether fortress, but it was in a terrible spot to try to get to. Well, I thought about what I was gonna do. I just decided to trade with some piglins because I brought some gold with me, and out of nowhere, I found a piece of ancient debris. Not at all what I was expecting, I'll tell you that much. But from the trades, I got 4 ender pearls, which isn't too bad. Then I figured I should probably find a safer nether fortress, so I ended up doing just that. Day 43 though, like a few other times in this video, got very close to dying. And then I actually had to find another nether fortress because the safer one that I found earlier actually kind of sucked. But in the new nether fortress, it was very easy to find enough blazes. Day 44 then, I returned home, and it was at this point where I started looking for the stronghold. Now the plan wasn't to beat the game this current moment. Like I mentioned earlier, I really just wanted the bookshelves. I wanted to be like super well enchanted before I took on the Ender Dragon, because another really easy place to die is in that fight. While I was looking for the stronghold, I found land. For the first time, that wasn't my island. Gotta be honest, man, it was so tempting to go on that jungle and just grab a little bit of sugarcane or like a little bit of bamboo. Anything that I don't have at my disposal at the moment, I just wanted it. But to distract myself from the urges, I looted some more shipwrecks where I was able to get an emerald and some feathers. So if only that earlier wandering trader was back, because I could have just brushed up some more emeralds for him and gotten moss that way. I wrote in my notes as well that I got a treasure map, but I did not write in my notes if I found the treasure or not. I'm assuming it wasn't that noteworthy if I ended up finding it. Maybe that's why I didn't say anything about it. But what I did see was another civilization, all right? I saw signs of human life in this world. That wasn't me. I sat for a minute and I pondered just how differently my life would be if I hadn't spawned on my island and instead spawned in this village. But as I sat there, I thought of all my best friends back on the island. The sheep, the pig, my oak door that I used to get all of my ores with, and I realized that I was born in the right place. Anyway, that was strange. Let's move on to day 45. Genius Shram appears again, as I really misjudged where the stronghold was, but honestly, maybe I did it on purpose, because I found some diamonds. But I did eventually find the stronghold, and on day 46, we stumbled across the library. I found the eye armor trim, which is always nice to have, got an Unbreaking 3 book and a Looting 2 book, which is fantastic, and of course I had all the bookshelves that I was going to need. And obviously I stumbled upon the portal room eventually. But at this point I decided to head back home because, like I said earlier, I wanted to fully enchant everything before I took on the Ender Dragon. On the way back though, I found another sunken ship that I haven't already looted, and it had bamboo in it, so that's amazing. Another wood type, and just a way to get scaffolding, which is fantastic. Day 47, I returned home, chopped down all my trees to make all the bookshelves, removed my decorative grindstone, so now my interior of my house looks horrible, and I made a full enchanting setup. Days 48 and 49 are pretty boring, so we're gonna go by them quickly. All I did in those days was just grind out my really bad mob farm because I just wanted more levels to enchant my gear. My plan was to at least get like fully enchanted diamond armor for the dragon fight. Figured that was really important because I already had the bow and the sword and stuff. But day 50, really big day here for the world of Shram. I got another zombie villager. Makes 2 gyms zombified in this world. All your boy needs now is a single piece of sugar, and then I can populate this island and get very rich. I mentioned it before, but let me break it down a little bit more. All right, so I need a weakness potion. That's the main thing right now. In order to craft a weakness potion, you need a fermented spider eye. In order to get a fermented spider eye, you need a regular spider eye, which I have, a brown mushroom, which I have, and a piece of sugar, which I don't have. This is the point where I did a little bit of research to figure out where you can get sugar from. Obviously, one of the ways is sugarcane. Didn't have to look that one up. Kind of already knew that. I don't have sugarcane on my island, or else this would not be a problem. Wandering traders can sell sugarcane though. Kind of have a bad feeling about that because I haven't treated wandering traders the best so far in this world. Feel like they might be spiteful against me, but it's an option. All right, gotta look out for those wandering traders. Then obviously, as mentioned earlier, I can get sugar from witches. The problem with witches is that they are quite rare, so it doesn't seem all too likely that I'm gonna get sugar from one. And to my knowledge, those are the only ways of getting sugar. I think my best bet is a wandering trader. Feel like that'll come up before a witch would drop me sugar. We just have to hope for RNG at this point. On day 51, I got a witch. Was super excited to kill it, and it dropped me glowstone powder. Definitely not what I needed. Very upset. But on day 51, I did fully enchant my diamond armor, and I was officially ready to take on the Ender Dragon. The morning of day 52, set sail back to the stronghold, made my way down to the portal room, took a deep breath, and jumped in. The Ender Dragon fight to me is never not nerve-wracking. Really poor English from me. All I'm trying to say is it scares me. Because not only do the Endermen do a ton of damage if you accidentally look at one, but the Ender Dragon loves just to throw you wherever it wants. And one of those times it nearly got me. Failed a water bucket clutch, was on half a heart. I have nearly died too many times in this video. Now, it wasn't the flashiest fight, but we did free the end. I didn't like one cycle the dragon. All right, I'm not sick like that. I took my time because, as I just said, this fight scares the hell out of me. And in particular, I hate getting underneath the dragon to whack it with my sword because that's when you get flung around the most. But at the end of the day, all right, we defeated the Ender Dragon, so that's fantastic. And of course, it's hardcore Minecraft. I don't have to save anything, so I just went straight into the further end islands. This is a massive part in this world because this is very easily my best chance at getting mending on anything. So I wanted to make sure I spent at least a little bit of time in the end cities here. And look at my amazing luck. The first mending piece of anything that I found was this chest piece with Cursive Binding. Literally useless if I wanted to use Elytra at any point. If you don't know what Cursive Binding does, if I put it on, I can't take it off. And if you don't know, you need to take off your chest piece to put on your Elytra. So there is no way I could use this piece of armor, just teasing me at this point. But shortly after that, I was able to get mending on my leggings and a pickaxe, which is actually huge, because I can get a really good pickaxe very quickly once I get home. The reason I ended up going home is because I ran out of food. If I brought more food with me, I probably would have spent like 2 more days looting end cities. But, you know, I got a couple mending things and a handful of other just diamond gear in general, so overall, I feel like it was pretty successful. Day 55, once again, I didn't record for a little bit, so it's replay mod footage. But while I was in the end, I threw a lot of stuff in the ender chests that spawn in the end cities. I figured I would either find a Silk Touch pickaxe while in the end cities and just be able to pick one of those ender chests up, or I could just make an ender chest when I got home and I can access all of the things I put in my chest. I put my only Eye of Ender and Blaze Rod in the ender chest in the end. Very, very dumb man right there, because now I need to go back to the nether to get another blaze rod to make another ender chest. This mistake didn't really end up mattering all that much. It was just such an inconvenience, and I could have pretty easily died just in the nether existing. Day 56 was enchanting day. I had a ton of levels from defeating the Ender Dragon. I wanted to try to get the best loot possible. But it's tradition on this channel that I use my first enchant after beating the Ender Dragon on the first pickaxe I ever made in this world. So I went ahead and enchanted that wooden pickaxe. But after doing my whole session of enchanting, I still have a good bit of combining to do. But now, my gear looks pretty solid. I feel a lot more comfortable. I was running low on food at this point, and I was still waiting for a wandering trader to potentially spawn again to give me that sugar cane I needed. So I figured I would get 2 birds stoned at once, and I decided to go fishing. Day 57, I continued fishing once more, because why not? I already beat the game, I can do whatever I want. And I fished up a power 4 bow, so we can get a power 5 bow eventually, and a mending fishing rod, which is awesome. I mean, it has Curse of Vanishing on it, but that really doesn't matter, because the way Curse of Vanishing works is if I die and drop my loot on the floor from that, the items with Curse of Vanishing on it will disappear. I actually don't know if it's 100% guaranteed or if there's just a chance, but regardless, that's how it works. And if I die in this world, I'm just losing my stuff anyway. So it really doesn't matter if I have that. It just kind of looks ugly, if I'm being honest. Day 58, very much long overdue, but I haven't built anything in so long, and my enchanting setup and my nether portal are just chilling in the open, so I figured I would give them a building. I mainly wanted stone blocks for this build, so I hit the caves once again, because also still looking for a witch. Like, that's gonna be at the back of my mind all the time, waiting for the wandering trader and looking for a witch. Everything I do is with that in mind, because getting villagers is that important. So I headed down into the caves and I mined up a bunch of gray stuff. Day 59, I was still in the caves and I found a witch. Once again, super excited to kill it, only for it to drop me redstone and sticks. Very upsetting. I've killed a couple of them now. It sucks every time. But then I just continued collecting materials and scouting out the area the rest of that day. Day 60, I resurfaced, actually had a decent amount of ores on me and some building blocks, so it was a very successful mining expedition. Day 61 then, I mapped out the exact dimensions of the new building, and I started building up the walls a little bit until I ran out of cobblestone. So from there, I just gathered a little bit more cobblestone and just continued on building. For the next 2 days, I worked on the exterior of this build. Throughout that time as well, I had to go harvest a little bit more oak wood, but at the end of day 63, I was able to get the exterior done. Then I moved on to the interior for day 64 and 65, and I think this build turned out pretty well. I really like what the roof looks like on the inside. I just like the deep slate accents going across every so often. I still do need a few more pieces of obsidian to like complete my portal, because this portal's a bit chunkier than my other one, but I'll worry about that later. I also decided to make a small pathway connecting my starter house to this new build, just using some coarse dirt and some mud brick slabs when I'm changing elevation. And since it's been so long since I've built stuff, I decided just to continue building. I wanted to make my island look really nice. Beat the game already, there's not too many more obligations I have, so at this point I just wanted to transform this thing into a project I'm happy with. So I made a similar shape as my previous farming area, but this one is just going to be for trees. I needed more tuff for my new farm, so I hopped back into the caves and I found every mob in existence. I think this is actually every mob that has ever been in Minecraft, like in general, like in every world out there. On day 66 though, I finished up the walls of the tree farm and I figured it was finally time to take down the mob farm. I got the zombie villagers I needed. I could still technically use it for like witches and stuff, but there was a pretty low chance I was gonna get a witch in there anyway. Kind of just banking on a wandering trader at this point. I finished taking down the farm then on day 67, and that's when I thought about building another one. But after a little bit of thought, realized it wasn't worth it. I am apparently really bad at building effective mob farms, so I figured that if I ever need experience, I'll just go to the end and make an enderman farm. On day 68 then, I tackled the shulker monster in the middle of my island. That took quite a bit of time actually to clear out all those shulker boxes. After that though, I farmed up my entire farmland, which is I think the first time I've done this after it's been fully planted. Then I went underground to gather up the little bit of obsidian I needed to finish off my portal, because I had big plans. I wanted to make a beacon, which I wasn't really looking forward to. I kind of hate getting beacons, man. It just takes so long to get all the skulls you need. It's the worst. Day 69 then was the start of my journey into getting a beacon. Hopped into the nether and immediately jumped off to my death. I wish I went out in a cooler way. I didn't realize that my chest piece was equipped and not my elytra. And by the time I realized, it was too late. I might honestly just be the best Minecraft player of all time, but I have failed this challenge of trying to survive 100 days on a deserted island, much like I failed my Skyblock challenge. I am so good at completing these challenges. I think next up, I'm gonna try modded Minecraft. And you never know if I'm gonna complete it or not, so, you know, gotta watch the videos to the end. I'm so disappointed in myself. I wanted to do so many more things on this island. It kind of doesn't look great. I honestly thought about scrapping this entire video. I really did. But I got to day 69, felt like it was fate that I should probably post this. And I also didn't want to just entirely waste like the last month of my life. So I hope I made this video entertaining. One day I'm going to complete one of these 100-day videos, I promise. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.